This is Sean Garrison, online editor of Cordell & Cordell and DadsDivorce.com. Today we are joined by Dr. William Fabricius, who is an associate professor at Arizona State University and is considered one of the country's leading experts on sociological issues related to family dynamics, divorce, child custody policy, and fathers. In 2000, Dr. Fabricius co-authored a study titled Young Adults' Perspectives on Divorce Living Arrangements, which assessed the perspectives of 820 college adults from divorced families on the issue of children's living arrangements after divorce. 15 years later, the paper remains one of the most influential studies ever conducted on divorced families' living arrangements from the child's perspective and shows that children of divorce, by and large, prefer equal time with both parents. We'll talk with Dr. Fabricius about what he sees as the most significant findings from the study and how recent research has built on his work in the decade and a half since. Dr. Fabricius, how are you doing today?
Pretty good.
It's been 15 years since your study was published, and the topic of shared parenting has continued to gain steam in the media. Can you take a look back now, all these years later, on what you see as the most important findings from your research?
The most significant finding was that the current generation of college students believe that shared equal parenting time is best for children of divorce. That's true of the college students who lived in intact families, and it is also true of those who came from divorced families, and it is especially true of those who actually lived in shared parenting arrangements growing up. Since then, we found that pretty near universal attitude in favor of shared equal parenting time among today's college students is also reflected in the general public. Most recently, within the last few years, we polled a representative sample of citizens from Tucson, Arizona, who were members of a jury pool randomly selected to be representative of the city's population. And we asked them the same kinds of questions about shared parenting in a very detailed way with lots of examples and lots of ways of measuring their attitudes about it. The bottom line is that they, just like the college students in 2000, they were basically universally in favor of shared equal parenting time. Didn't depend on their political views, didn't depend on their gender, didn't depend on their economic situation, and didn't depend on whether they had been divorced themselves or not. The findings that public opinion in Arizona was strongly in favor of shared parenting has been replicated in other large surveys, including a ballot question in Massachusetts, national polls in Canada, and those are the ones that come to mind right now. So.
Sure, and on that same note, over the last 15 years, how has the research done since, either by you or by others, built on your findings? Have there been other significant developments related to that topic?
What we've done is follow that up by looking for the effects or the consequences of shared parenting. And what we find essentially is that the more parenting time the father has, up to and including equal parenting time, the stronger and better and closer the father-child relationship is when the child is 18 to 20 years of age. So it predicts a long-term positive association with the father-child relationship. We find no harm to the mother-child relationship as parenting time increases from 0 to 50% with dad. So at the upper ends of shared parenting time, the child, when they become a young adult, has equally strong relationships with both parents. Those who had less parenting time with father have progressively worse long-term relationships with him. Secondly, we find that the parent-child relationship is an extremely strong predictor of long-term not only mental health but also stress-related physical health. These findings come from the health literature. They're long-term, very solid findings that show that stress and distance, psychological distance, not emotionally warm, close parent-child relationships predict higher levels of stress, which harm both the developing brain in the child, harm the child's developing social abilities, and end up harming the child in terms of mental health problems and long-term stress-related physical health problems that relate in lost time from work, serious physical diseases, and even in the worst cases, early mortality. So we see a really strong connected picture between parenting time when the child is young, long-term quality of parent-child relationships when they hit young adulthood, and that then predicting really serious long-term consequences. So everything we've looked at shows that there's benefits associated with shared parenting.
Absolutely. And is there anything else you're currently working on that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, we're working on data that's not from college students, but data from community families. That's part of a 10-year longitudinal study we have that is funded by the National Institute of Health, where we're looking at families in Phoenix, Arizona, and Riverside, California, starting when the child is in 7th grade, following up until they're in their early 20s. And we're looking at the same kinds of issues about what effects does father involvement have on the young adolescent all the way up through young adulthood, on their mental health, their stress-related physical health. And some of our families are divorced, so we can look at the subset of kids from those divorced families in terms of parenting time effects for them and effects of relocation on them. And that's currently what we're working on right now. And so far, our preliminary results with these community samples are supporting and reproducing the same kinds of things we found with the college students.
Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. Fabricius. We enjoyed talking with you here at Dad's Divorce.
You're quite welcome.
That was Dr. William Fabricius, Associate Professor at Arizona State University. To read more about Dr. Fabricius' study or to check out other articles related to shared parenting and child custody, be sure to check out DadsDivorce.com. This has been Sean Garrison, online editor of Cordell & Cordell and Dad's Divorce. Thank you for joining us.